I recently turned 1,000 miles on my RadMini, and I thought I'd take a minute and do a quick review and give you my thoughts on the bike. Hang on. All right, before I get deep into the review, just a real quick history of why we got the RadMini. So we full-time RV, we travel the country, we live in an RV, and it was important to us to get the bikes off of the bike rack, something we could fold up, put in the cargo bay of our fifth wheel, something that we want to go to a bike trail, we could fold up and put in the back of our CRV. In fact, I'm going to show you a little clip right now of the bikes folded up in the back of that car. So this is just one of the reasons we picked up the RadMini. So this is a 2019 Honda CRV. As you can see, once we fold up our RadMinis and put them inside our Craftsman totes, they fit in the back of the car very nicely, out of the weather and away from thievery. And it was important to keep it out of harm's way, so out of the weather, out of prying eyes, and in today's world, you know, you just can't be too safe, and keep them safe from thievery. So let's just start right where the rubber meets the road. That would be the tires. So hopefully you can see the tread. I think I have 1,005 miles on the bike right now. You can see there's still a fair amount of tread left. I see a few hundred miles left on this. Now, we have not had a single flat with these tires yet. Most of our riding is on asphalt and pavement and gravel. We do some dirt also, but I do avoid getting in grassy areas because we've had a number of flats and other bikes by rolling over bushes and goat heads and stickers. So we avoid that pretty much. So the tires, in my mind, have really held up well. And they're a 3-inch wide tire, which I like a lot. I know a lot of the bikes have the 4-inch wide tires. The 3-inch wide tires just have a little less rolling resistance, and I think I like that. So the RadMini does have the mechanical brakes, and I'm okay with that. They do a fine job of stopping. I'm north of 200 pounds, and when we get rolling down the road, I have no problem coming to a stop. I do like hydraulic brakes, but I have heard some stories where people folding up the bikes on other brands end up with some fading on the hydraulic brakes, and that causes them some issues. So I think with that in mind, I'm pretty happy with the mechanical brakes. So the RadMini does come with the fenders stock. I know some brands you have to buy the fenders separately, so we're happy we have the fenders. The light is a halo lamp. I'm not going to say it's crazy bright, but we don't ride that much at nighttime, so I'm pretty much happy with that. But I think if I rode a lot at nighttime, we would probably want to add a second light or just switch that light out altogether. So another thing I'm real happy about is on this particular model of RadMini, it has a suspension fork. So even though, again, we ride a lot on asphalt and gravel and dirt, nothing too rigorous, I should say, but having that suspension is a nice feature. I think all the Rads have this mounting point up here, so if you want to add a basket on the front or maybe even more water bottles, that's an option for you. We don't tend to use that, obviously, but it is there in case we ever do. One thing I think Rad could do better is this wiring harness. It's kind of a mess up here, right? It's just wires running everywhere. I don't know why they can't put it in some kind of a loom to make it look nice. I don't know. Maybe that's a project I should work on someday just to make that nicer, but come on, Rad. Dress it up a little bit. Make it look nice. Then up on the handlebar, we have the step-thru front and rear brakes. And when you do use the brakes, it cuts off the power to the motor. I think that's pretty common with about all of the e-bikes out on the market. One thing I will say is I've had to adjust the brakes on the front probably about 4 times since I've had the bike. We do ride in a resort in the wintertime a lot, so we are using the brakes a lot. And then during the summer, we're traveling around the country, so we don't use the brakes as much. I suppose your riding habits will dictate how that works for you. But I have had to adjust the brakes a few times. And in fact, I need to adjust them again. But it's not a big deal, just something you have to work with. Of course, we have a built-in bell. Another thing I'll mention right here, you might notice that these bars have been reversed. So when I first got the bike and they were mounted up in this area, I had to reach forward quite a bit and lean over a little bit, and I have a bad neck, and that caused me some pain on the longer rides. So I did take the handlebars and reverse them, and that allows me to sit up straighter. And it seems to be doing a pretty good job for me. I'm still pondering the idea of switching these bars out altogether to like a Jones H bar that kind of gives me more of a sweep back, or maybe I can even sit up straighter. But right now I'm pretty happy with it, and I'll toy with that idea down the road. All right, so here's your monitor and control panel. You push the mode button to turn the bike on. You can see that it's really easy to read during the daytime. It's pretty bright outside right now, and you can see that it's easy to read. There's the state of the battery. Here's your odometer. There's your mile per hour and what pedal assist you're in. So if I can go up to pedal assist 2, 3, 4, and 5, of course. And if you're using the battery, it shows what you're using the wattage. If you want to switch and look for, instead of the odometer, if you want to go to a trip meter, just push the mode button once and it switches over to trip meter. The only thing I don't like about that is if you take off riding and you put in 5 or 6, 7 miles, whatever it may be, and you stop to do something, get a drink of water, talk to somebody, look at something, you come back, and if you turn the bike off and you turn the bike back on, the trip meter goes back to 0. I wish there was a workaround for that, but there isn't. It's not a huge deal, but something to be aware of. Now you're going to notice all the accessories on here. I'm not going to talk about those in this video too much. You know, we did add the mirror. Here's my phone holder. Here's an extension for the handlebar for putting more things on. A camera mount. But if you're interested in any of these things, you can find it in our Amazon store. There's a link down below. So go check that out if you want. I will do a separate video on the accessories later on. Here's the Shimano shifter. I like it. I've had it on a few different bikes. You push this to go up in gears and then push this back to go down in gears. It's pretty smooth. I'll talk more about the gears in a minute. And then here is the twist throttle. I've seen some with a thumb throttle, and I used to ride quads out in the sand, and I'm used to a thumb throttle. But I think on the bike, I really do like this twist throttle. Of course, I'm a motorcycle rider too, so I'm pretty comfortable with any of them, but I do like the twist throttle. Going down, of course, the handlebars fold over and extend up. You can extend these handlebars by just releasing this lever and moving it up and down. As you can see on my bike, here's a water bottle holder. Now, I have the step-thru bike. I don't really use it as a step-thru bike. I still throw my leg over, so if I use this as a step-thru and put my leg through that opening, I might bump that bottle. It may be an issue, but for me, I like the way it's set up. So the pedals that come on the bike, these are folding pedals. They get up out of the way for riding or for folding it up and stowing it. But you know, I wear a size 14 shoe, and my whole foot width will not fit on here. Now I know there's pedals I can switch out to, but they don't fold. I have not found a pedal that is wider or bigger that fold, and that's what I'm looking for. Eventually I'll find something. Somebody will come out with a pedal that's better than this. I do not want to go to a solid pedal because I do want to be able to fold it up, not have them in the way, because we fold these things up numerous times, and I want the convenience of the folding pedal. But that is one thing I'm not crazy about. The battery's a 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery. I did a test on it right before I hit 1,000 miles as far as how many miles I can get on the bike. I put it in pedal assist 1 and pedal assist 2. We rode on some pretty level ground, and at 60 miles, I went from 5 bars down to 1 bar at 60 miles. Now that's pretty darn impressive in my book. So again, that would depend if you're out there using the throttle a lot, running on pedal assist number 4 or 5, or going through a lot of hilly area. When I did this test, we were in Florida, and you just don't get much flatter than Florida. So anyway, I was still pretty impressed. I got 60 miles, went down to bar number 1. So it's probably another 10 miles easy in that with pedal assist. So just wanted to share that with you too. Now, I do like that the controller is easy to get to back here in case you ever have to change it out. But it is out in the elements, so I guess if you really rode in a lot of bad weather, that could be an issue for you down the road. We don't typically ride in rain or wet, so not a big deal for us, but just something to think about. And I'm sure you've noticed already I switched out to the NCX suspension seat post and to a Cloud 9 seat. I did do a video showing the NCX compared to the Zoom with the Cloud 9. And I'll put a link up above in the video just in case you want to watch that, but there's some pretty good info. And I do love that seat post and the seat, but again, we're going to do a separate video on the components. And I guess if we're sitting right here, you're going to notice I put the Rock Bros bag on it. And if you'll notice, for you observant people, this is not the Rad bike rack. Rad bike racks are always hard to get, so this is an on-way rack that I picked up off of Amazon, and I did do an installation video on a Rad rack and this on-way rack, and again, I'll try to put a link to that up above in this video if it allows me to. If not, you can find it on our channel. Another little thing, it's not a big thing, but a little things that count. I do love where they mount the kickstand. So now if you're pushing the bike backwards and your pedals are rolling backwards, the kickstand doesn't get in the way of the pedals. Again, not a big thing, but it's the little things that add up and count. I will mention that I have not had to adjust the rear brakes even once since we had it, even though I have had to adjust the front brakes. So that's kind of odd, but anyway, the rear brakes have been perfect the whole time. And the RadMini also comes with the rear fender as well as the front fender, and it comes with a tail light, and the tail light turns into a brake light when you push the brake levers, which I like a lot. Some people say it's pretty dim, but you know what? They're fine. You can see it from a distance on a bright day. Now, if you do the on-way rack, you'll need to get an extension for the wire to come back this far, but hey, that's in that other video if you go check that out. And while we're here, this is a 750 watt hub motor. Now, it's no rocket ship, but it's, you know, I'm 220 some pounds, and it handles me just fine up on the hills and going through the flats, and speed wise and torque wise taking off, so no complaints. If you want a rocket ship, I'd probably look for something with a little higher torque level. Now here's something I'm not crazy about. So this is the Shimano Altus. Now I think that's on the lower end of the Shimano food chain. I know Shimano's a good brand, but I think this Altus is kind of down the food chain a ways, and it's not the smoothest in the world. In fact, I need to do some adjustments on it, because right now if I go between 6 and 7, if I try to ride in 6th gear, it automatically jumps to 7th, and it's just not a real smooth operation. But again, it's adjustable. You have some adjustment here, and there's some screws here that you can adjust and make this right. And I need to work on that some to make that better, but it is one thing that is frustrating to me, and again, it's just an adjustment, I'm sure. Well, I do like the derailleur guard here, because when you're putting this in a cargo box to tour around the country or whatever, or put it in your car, no doubt you're going to hit this on the side of that box, and this does help protect that a lot, so that's a good feature. This is just another camera mount for me, so don't pay any attention to that. I do like that they put this guard on here so the chain doesn't slap on your frame and cause it all kinds of damage. I do like that. And I also like the way that this sprocket's set up, where it's a double-sided, so the chain rides inside. I'm usually in shorts, but I suppose if you have long pants on or something, it might help keep your pants a little cleaner and less chance of getting it caught up inside the gearing there. Way back when folding bikes first came out, I was always worried that it feels sloppy, wouldn't be solid, but this locking system on the Rad is ideal. No worries whatsoever. Once it's locked in place, this is set here, you would not know it's a folding bike at all, so I really like the locking system. So while I'm back, let me try and get a shot of this rear tire, because there's a lot of weight back here. You know, like I said, I'm north of 200 pounds. There's a lot of tread left on that, no worries whatsoever. I'm north of 200 pounds. I usually have camera gear inside here, maybe some extra water. I have the water bottle on here, so this bike is pulling some weight around as it rides, and there's a lot of weight on those tires, and I'm really happy with the way they're holding up. Actually, I'm pretty happy with the way the whole bike's holding up. Hey, let me mention real quick that I'm not sponsored by Rad to do this video. They have no idea I'm even doing the video. I'm not sponsored or haven't been paid by any of the accessory people I have on this bike. It's just something I wanted to do to share with you. The previous bike before this I had a full-size Pedigo e-bike, and that was a well over $3,000 bike, so I didn't really expect a Rad at this price point to compare 100% with a Pedigo, but I'm pretty impressed with how it holds up. So again, I think they could do a better job on cleaning this up to make it look nice. That's just an appearance thing. I'm noticing a little discoloration here, but again, this thing's been out in the sun a lot getting ridden. I love the forks. The tire's been well. The light is sufficient, but it isn't earth-shattering. I love the way the battery's holding up. First thing I did was switch out the seat post to a suspension seat post to put the Cloud 9 seat on. There was no way in the world that I was going to sit on that stock seat and ride around. The cargo rack was very important for me. That was another add-on that happened almost immediately. And the Rock Brothers bag. I wished I didn't have to deal with this shifting issue. I think I just need to get on YouTube and look at how to adjust that 100% myself. I'll tell you another thing I wish that Rad had was more service stations around the country. You know, back in the Pedigo days, there were a lot of dealers. If you have an issue with the Pedigo, you just take it to a shop and they could fix it. And you're usually pretty close to a shop as you travel around the country. But with Rad, no such luck. I mean, they have the place up in Seattle, I think, is where the mothership is. And they're supposed to have a roaming truck program. But the last time a bunch of us that had some Rads tried to call and set up an appointment to have them look at like 4 or 5 bikes, we couldn't make that happen. So that was a little disappointing. But if you're handy, you can work on things yourself. And again, 1,000 miles, other than adjusting brakes, I haven't worked on anything. So it's really a good bike for me so far. So as I mentioned, I did a video comparing the NCX suspension seat post and the Zoom that I have on Diane's bike. You might want to check that out. I also did a short little video of the installation of the 2 different bike racks, or the rear racks. You may want to check that out. I also did a video of folding it up and the totes we use, putting it inside of our RV. You may want to check that out. And I'm going to do another video pretty soon on all the accessories that we have on the bike. But for now, if you are interested in any of the accessories, go down in the description. There's a link to our Amazon store. And everything I have on this bike, I think, is in the Amazon store. And the only thing I put in the Amazon store are things that I have personally used and that I would recommend to people and that I would rebuy. If I bought it and don't like it, it will not be in that Amazon store. So go check that out. And all this stuff has been bought. No one has given us anything for free or anything to review. So it's our own personal experiences and our own personal thoughts. All right, hey, if you enjoyed this video, got anything out of it, feel free to leave a comment. How about hitting the thumbs up? Maybe consider subscribing. It all helps the channel. I really do appreciate it. And as always, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.